going to have a look at Chelsea's 3-2-3-2 press, 3-1-4-2 press, and their 3-2 midfield possession, as well as Aston Villa's 2-4 or 2-3 deep build-up and their 3-2 midfield shape, and their tactical tweak later on. Before we get into the video, if you enjoy the content, smash the like button, consider sharing on social media and subscribing. We're getting really close to 600. And with that, let's get into it. Starting here with Chelsea building up with their 3-2 shape, with all of their forwards relatively narrow and Ben Chilwell holding the width on the left wing. The three forwards, so in this case Havertz, were constantly floating between the lines and dropping either side of the centre midfield pair for Aston Villa. This was because in this 4-2-4 or 4-4-2 shape, the wide midfielders for Aston Villa were expected to press onto the wide centre backs for Chelsea and try and make the pass into these dropping forwards more difficult. And so we see that here as Ramsey tries to press into Reece James and Reece goes to press Kai Havertz. Alternatively, instead of playing this ball into Havertz, James also had the option of playing a long switch to the left hand side to Ben Chilwell, who on numerous occasions made runs in behind. On this occasion, Fernandes is going to lose possession, but where Chelsea are able to push back Aston Villa, it then gave those wide centre-backs, so Reece James and Cucurella, license to push much higher up and even overlap or underlap whoever was holding that wide midfield position, so Chilwell or Ruben Loftus-Cheek. On this occasion, the referee allows the game to flow, as he did on numerous occasions this game, and this allows Aston Villa to be able to counter-attack down that left-hand side channel, eventually leading to Chelsea winning back possession through a combination of Koulibaly and Reece James, who immediately play the ball back out wide to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who looks to try and force a transition, combining here with Kai Havertz in that right-hand side half space. Just notice here the shape of Aston Villa in this 3-2, with the left back Moreno having license to push higher up on this left-hand side. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has just tried to drive down this right-hand side. Aston Villa choose to retreat back to Emi Martinez, which they were happy to do, and just involve him in that deep build-up, try and draw Chelsea into their half and create space in this 4-1 or 2-3 shape for Luiz to be able to drop and beat the Chelsea 3-2-3-2 press. So we see that 2-4 deep build up with the wide midfielders for Aston Villa operating inside the Aston Villa half against that 3-2-3-2 shape by Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez has pushed higher up to try and track Luiz, and just note the positions of the two wide centre-backs in Cucurella and James, who have been drawn into the Aston Villa half, creating space for Watkins to be able to drive either side of Koulibaly if any of those deeper lying forwards are able to win possession. On this occasion, Boubacar is caught dawdling by Mudryk in this high XG situation, but unfortunately he smashes the ball at Martinez rather than just squaring it into Kai Havertz. Moving on, we've got Martinez opting to play a longer ball here out towards the right winger, at this point being McGinn. But later in the game, when they move to a back five, they have Ashley Young push into this right wing position instead, with Callum Chambers taking up his deeper right back position. So we see some of the benefits of what I mentioned earlier with those deeper lying forwards and Ollie Watkins holding or leading the line, because due to the aggression of these wide centre backs for Chelsea who want to try and put pressure on the wide midfielders of Aston Villa, we end up seeing the other centre-back try and adjust their position to make up for Aston Villa potentially beating their press. So we see that here with Koulibaly, who's come across filling in for Cucurella. In case Cucurella gets beaten, he'll be able to try and press towards Buendia or McGinn. And then across, James, who wanted to put pressure here on Ramsey, is now trying to cover across to cover for the fact that Koulibaly has gone across to the left-hand side. And with these slight misjudgments of how far they need to cover across, we end up with McGinn playing this absolutely sumptuous ball for Ollie Watkins centrally, which unfortunately he can't capitalise on. Moving on to the 50th minute, we get to see Chelsea building up in that 3-2 shape against what's meant to be a 5-4-1. However, just note quickly Ramsey, who's dropped into this left back position to allow the left wing back to be able to stay narrow, but then this also prevents a switch out into Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which Chelsea loved to do. This dropping of the wide midfielders into full-back or wing-back positions was used in the first half too, to counter the overloading that those wider forwards for Chelsea did by positioning themselves between the fullback and centre-backs of Aston Villa. On this occasion, Chelsea are playing that long diagonal, that long switch into Ben Chilwell, who's making that run from out to in, looking to try and get in on this left-hand side against Ashley Young, with the rest of the Chelsea forwards staying narrow, positioned such that they can try and drop to link with the rest of the Chelsea defensive unit. Before we show the rest of Chilwell's amazing touch and drive towards goal, I thought it was nice to just quickly note Kai Havertz's position here, because this was a nice route for Aston Villa to start their counter-attacks, specifically due to Ramsey being quite good at pressing the wide centre-backs and wide forwards when they tried to build up in this space earlier in the first half. And so by instead having Kante here, Chelsea were able to stop this pipeline at source and get Chelsea back in possession before an Aston Villa counter-attack could begin. Okay, so we have that 3-2-3-2 press against Aston Villa's 2-3 or 2-4 deep build-up. We've got Douglas Luiz dropping to support, and we can see just how high up the pitch Chelsea have been drawn, eventually allowing Luiz to be able to get the ball lifted over this press, and Moreno and Ramsey to combine just beyond Loftus-Cheek, dragging Aston Villa up the pitch and allowing them to be able to set up into their 3-2 shape, with Camara and Luiz as the holding midfielders and Moreno pushing higher up on this left-hand side to try and combine with Buendia and Ramsey. With that combination play on the left-hand side, it gives time and space for the likes of McGinn and Watkins to attack centrally, but also creates a lot of space in behind Reece James for Watkins to be able to run into, as Reece James looks to try and put pressure here on the likes of James Ramsey and Buendia, who are trying to overload this left-hand side. Eventually, Aston Villa's overloading or combinations on that left-hand side are able to create a cutback opportunity towards McGinn centrally, and from that, he just doesn't manage to quite hit the target. And with that, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please smash that like button, consider sharing on social media and subscribing. We're really close to 600 subscribers now, and with that, we're out.